Shadowsun here. Welcome back to my channel. So in this first part of my crystal series in video form, I wrote this blog post in 2019 when I was in a new area, and I want to talk about choosing and connecting with a crystal. I have a lot to cover in this video, and I feel that this is the most important topic, or one of the most, to talk about first with crystals, because a lot of people don't really know what to do with crystals or how to pick them or things like that. People get stuck on how to choose the crystal. And really, for me personally, I think that the crystal chooses the person. I feel like there's an energetic exchange that happens when you're working with crystals. I feel like the crystal just connects with you, and there is this moment on an energetic and intuitive level that happens with the crystal and on your end. I tend to choose crystals on a very intuitive and energetic basis. However, a lot of books exist that talk about what crystals are good for. You've got amethyst, who's really good for healing and being calm and intuition. And you've got carnelian, that's really good for motivation and protection. And then you have other books that'll say that clear quartz is really good for any type of magical working or healing or anything of that nature. When you have another book that says something completely different than all of those books. So that's a little difficult for some people, and I mentioned that in the post. And I also mentioned that I do things on an intuitive level. And when I wrote this post, I went to a new store, and that store had a bunch of crystals everywhere. It'd be like me showing you my altar behind me, but instead of all my usual things on my altar, like candles and my cauldron, it'd be like filled with crystals in bowls or in little containers everywhere. And I went through each table looking at the crystals, touching the crystals. I couldn't read the card. I couldn't see the color well enough because of the lighting and whatnot. So I just went with my hand and picked up a crystal and went with it. And I felt drawn to that same crystal, that same table. So I went back later and got that crystal, and it was an obsidian. I've never heard of rainbow obsidian before, and I did not know that existed until that day. And what I like to do when I get my crystals home with me is I like to cleanse them. Now, I want to point out that I don't cleanse my crystals very often, unless I'm doing healing work. And even then, I don't feel like crystals need this tumultuous amount of cleansing like every week or every month or whatever. I do my crystal cleansing like maybe once every couple of months. And on top of that, if you feel like you're really drawn to a crystal and you can't afford it, come back and get it when you can. Don't spend a lot of money on crystals. I feel like that was a mistake I made. I've got so many of them and I didn't spend a lot of time. And it's very important to do that. So I highly recommend, if all you can get is tumbled, get it. If you feel drawn to it, then get it. But if you can't afford it, don't panic. Just get it when you can afford it. Don't spend a lot of money. Get maybe 2 or 3 crystals that you feel the most drawn to, maybe 4 at the most, and spend time with each one of them. And I recommend you meditate with them. You can hold them in your hand. For example, I've got this amethyst that I always use. So if I got this brand new, I would just hold it in my hand like I am. I'm holding it in my hand. My hand is flat, and the crystal's in my right hand. And I would just hold it and meditate with it and really connect with that energy. Also, keeping it on your nightstand, in your pocket, in your purse, holding it from time to time, really spending time with that crystal for like 1 to 2 weeks. And you do that with each crystal that you buy. If you bought 4, you do that with each one, and buy different types. So if you bought amethyst and clear quartz and rhodochrosite and jasper or something like that, I highly recommend not only spending time with each one for a couple weeks, but also what I didn't mention in this post, and I had planned to, but it didn't come out, is doing some research. Read some books on the crystals that you get once you've got them and you've cleansed them. And I do go into charging a little bit later, and I highly recommend when you do charging, I think it's important to get to know the crystal first before you start programming it or charging it for any particular purpose. And I personally think that crystals can be used for all kinds of things, and I think that it's important that once you get to know that crystal's energy and how that energy works with yours, you're able to understand it and connect with it more readily and effectively as a practitioner, whether you're using it for magic or healing or meditation or divination or whatever you're using your crystal for. But I personally think that it's just important to get to know that crystal long before you start charging it or programming it. And my last point with this discussion on crystals and choosing and connecting with them is use what you have around you. If you already have crystals, I didn't get too much into this either, but I wanted to point it out. Let's say you already have a group of crystals with you and you want to get to know those, spend some time with those. But if you're buying crystals from the store, just make sure that you only buy a couple at a time. And if you're brand new to this, just buy only like 3 or 4. Don't buy too many, because it is one of those things that you really just want to do because you love all of them for so many different reasons. And I just think it's important to only buy a couple, because my mistake was I bought like 10 or 20 or whatever in one go, and now I've got so many I can't even figure out where to put them all. And it can be difficult, but it's important to do so. So these are just a few thoughts. I highly recommend you read the blog post, because I have more information in that blog post in the description below. And please continue to check out the series. It will be going on throughout May, and I'll have new topics as well. So hope you all are well. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Peace and blessings to you all.